Hey guys, and welcome back to another brand new YouTube video. And in this video we're going to learn how to sign in users using their username or their email. So let's go ahead and create a user. So now let us click sign up. Then after that, let's go and sign in the user. So we're going to sign in the user using their username. So as you can see, it's successfully signed up. Then let us try again using the email. So we're going to click sign in, and as you can see, it's successfully signed in. So that's what we're going to do in this video. So if please support me by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and please stick around and let's get right into it. Yeah, so here I've created a folder called username or login. So we're going to open up our terminal in this directory, and let's start a Django app. So we're going to do Django admin start project, then the name of the app. So I'm going to call it configurations. Then after that, we're just so if you see here now, you'll be able to see that our app has been created or the project has been started. So now let's just create an app or start an app. So Python manage.py start app. Then we're gonna give it a name profiles. Then here it has created the profiles app here. So let's open up this folder in Visual Studio Code or your direct or your text editor. So I'm going to go to settings.py inside our configuration, and I'm going to add um profiles to the installed apps. So profiles like this, and we are letting Django know that we have a new app that we created. So let's go to our profiles now, and let's create a forms.py file. So since we are going to be dealing with user registrations and stuff like that, so we want to provide a user with a form to register, right? So we have to like create the forms in Django. So we're going to do from Django import forms. This is how you import the forms here. And we're also going to do from Django dot country dot auth dot form. We're going to import user creation. So after we've imported the user creation form, let us create a class for our form. So we're going to call it, let's say, user sign up form. You can name it whatever. User sign up form is basically going to inherit from the user creation form. So whenever you inherit from a class, it gets basically extends that class so that you have the same attributes as the class you're inheriting from. So the normal user creation form, Django only gives us the username and the password. So basically the username, the password, and the password too, which is like the confirmed password. So, but since we also want to add emails to our user when registering, right? So let's just create that field since Django doesn't give us that. So we're going to create our own email field in our forms. So we're going to do email should be equal to form dot email, and this is going to have a max length. And let's just give it a max length of 200. So that means that it won't allow any email that is longer than 200. So let's just do class meta. Class meta just changes the behavior of an existing class. So we're just going to set the model to be equal to user, and we're going to go up here and import users. So we're going to do from Django dot contrib dot out dot models. Then here we're going to import users. So after we import the user model, we're also going to define some fields. We're going to do that as a list here. So these are the available fields that we're going to provide the user when using the form. So we're going to pass in username, then the email, which is the email we created here, and as well the password one, and as well the password two. So this password two is basically the confirmed password. Then the password one is the normal password when you type in your password, then your username and your email. So these are the things that we need right now. So after that, let's just go to our views.py, and this is where we're going to handle everything. So now let's just create a function which is going to handle the registration of the user for as in the views.py, right? So we're going to do define sign in. Then this is going to take request as the parameter. Then after it takes request as the parameter, we're going to create a condition that if we're getting a post request, which means that let's say whenever a user clicks submit, so that is a post request. So you are submitting something, we are posting something to the website. So if we're getting a post request, we want to initialize our form So we're going to create a variable form, and form is going to be this user sign up form that we created here. So I'm going to go to our, I'm as well going to import it. So I'm going to do from dot forms. We're going to import our user sign up form. So we're going to create an instance of the class user sign up form with the parameters that we passed in our post request. So let's say the user has passed in his or her username, email, and password. So we're sending that as a post request. So if we get a post request, we want to create an instance of the class sign up form with all those parameters that the user passed in the form, and just save it like that. So we're going to validate the form to make sure that the form is correct. That means that everything that we passed in is complete, and we don't have any other username with the same username, or maybe we don't have any other email with the same email, right? So we're going to do if form dot is valid. So if there are no errors in the form, then what we want to do is we want to save that form. So we're going to do form dot save. So after that, now I think that whenever you save a form, maybe you should just redirect us to login so that the user can just go along it. So now I think that after that, it should redirect us to the login view. Let us just return a redirect, and we're going to import redirect from shortcuts. So we're going to do comma redirect. So the redirect is basically going to redirect us to another page, another web page. So we're going to redirect the user after he or she has logged in, and if he or she created an account successfully, is going to redirect us to the login page, right? So we're going to create that login page later. So after that, now we're also going to make sure that we're going to create a condition that if we're getting a get request, which means that maybe the user just opened up the web page right now, and we have to as well provide the user with a form to fill in. So we're going to do form should be equal to um user sign up form. So the same thing, but we're not going to put anything like request or post. So we want to provide the user with a fresh form there. So after we provide the user with a fresh form, at the end, we're just going to return render. So render is basically going to render out this our view it in a template, maybe a HTML file. So I'll rendering out that with request, comma, then here you're going to put the path to your HTML file. So I'm just going to do profiles / sign in or sign up .html. So after we're going to do that, then we're going to pass in this. We're going to pass in form as a parameter to the web page. So let's say whenever we want to access this form that we created here, we can basically call it as form in the HTML file. So I can set this to, let's say, like my form, and if I want to access it in HTML file, I'll call it as my form. But let's just stick to calling it form. So let's just change this to sign up instead of sign in. So now let's just create another function which is going to handle when the user is logging in. So we're going to do define sign in, or let's say define login, or let me just stick around with sign in. Then this is as well going to take a request. So request. Then after this, we're as well going to grab the same thing that we did here, but we're going to make some changes. So we're going to check if we're getting a post request. And if we're getting a post request, we want to create an instance of the class authentication form. So I'll go and import that from Django. So Django already provides us with that. So I'm going to do from Django.contrib.out.forms. Going to import authentication form. So this is the form that is going to provide us, that Django already provides for us for logging in. So basically has the field for the username and password there. So we're going to do form should be equal to authentication form. So usually after this, we just check if the form is valid, then save the form. But in this case, we're logging in a user, and remember that the purpose of this video is to log in a user using their username or their email and their password. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to try and grab the username that the user passed in and the password that the user passed in. So we're going to check that if that username looks like an email, then we want to treat that username as an email, then log in the user using that email. So that is basically the logic of what we're going to do in this function now. So we're going to use a try and accept block. So in case we run into any error, it's just going to do nothing. It's not going to raise up an error for us and crash our code. So in the try and except, we are going to create a condition that if the @ sign is in our username, then we treat it as an email. So let's just first of all say username. So let's grab the variables. So username should be equal to request.post. So request.post.get, and we're going to get the username. The username is basically the input field that we're going to provide the user, or that the user is being provided with. So we're also going to grab this and do the same for the password. So here this is going to be password, and password is going to be equal to request.post.get password. So we're going to check if the @ sign is in the username. So if the @ sign is in the username, then we're going to treat that as an email, right? So then we're going to say user object. So user object, we're just creating a normal variable. So we're going to say user object to be equal to user, and we're going to import to user. So user.object dot get, where the email is equal to the username. So if we get an @ sign, that means that it is an email, and remember that we only provided with one field. So, and that field is basically the username field in the HTML file. So if we passed in something like hello@gmail.com, then it's going to grab that username and get a user object that the email is equal to that username. Yeah. So we're also going to import this user as we imported in the forms.py here. So let me just grab that and import that here. So once it gets that, then we're going to say our username equal to the user object dot username. So after it grabs a user that has the same email, that the user passed in the HTML file, then we're going to grab the real username of that user object. So, and we're going to store that in the variable username. So we're basically just overriding it, right? So if once he gets that, then we want to try and authenticate the user to check if that user username and password correspond. So we're going to basically do user. So remember that this is in lowercase. So we're going to say user should be equal to authenticate. To authenticate, and I'm going to import this authenticate right now. So let me just go and import that from the top. So we're going to do from Django .contrib.auth, we're going to import authenticate, and we're also going to import login. So after this, now we're going to go user.authenticate. So we want to authenticate a user with this username. So we're going to say username should be equal to username, and where the password is equal to the password that the user passed. So once this is done, then we're going to say if there is a user that exists with whatever that we checked, then we're going to log in that user. So we're going to log in the user with in the current request or in the current section. Then we log in the user there. So after we log in the user, then we want to redirect the user maybe to like a sources page, or usually in a website to redirect the person maybe to his or her profile or his or her feed or something like that. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to redirect the user maybe to like a page that is going to say you're successfully logged in. So we're going to return a redirect to the sources page or sources like this. So I'm going to create a page that's called sources. So after this, we're as well going to check if we're actually getting a get request. So if we're getting a get request, we as well want to provide the user with a form for here for them to fill up. So I'm as well going to grab this thing that we wrote here and gonna paste that here. But remember that we're not going to pass in a request or post because we want a fresh form. So at the end, we are going to return a render. We're going to return render, which is basically going to render out this view, the HTML page. So we're going to do request, comma, and the path to the HTML page. So here we're going to do profiles / sign in. Then we're going to as well pass in form as a parameter so that we'll be able to access the form in our HTML page. So this should be it for our views. Then if we have any issues, I'll come back and fix it. But for now, let's just go to our URLs file in the configurations, and let's just add a URL route to these views that we created. So in the urls .py, I'm basically going to import the views.py from the profiles. So from profiles, we're going to import views. So once we import views, I'm as well going to do path. So we're going to define a path to access that view. So we're going to do sign in /, and whenever the user does sign in or /, want to render out this views dot sign in or sign in function there. So after that, I'm going to give this page a name. So we're going to call it sign in. Then I'm as well going to copy this and create another one for the sign up. So we're going to do sign up here. So sign up, the view is actually sign up, and the name is sign up. So this sign in, remember that we used login here, or let me just change that to login in the URLs there. So let's just call it login, right? So whenever we want to redirect to login, it calls up this sign in path or view. So after that, and I'm also going to add a success page, which is for that success page. Whenever it tells the user you have been successfully logged in, stuff like that. So I'm going to create a path here. Then the path is going to be success. So success, and here we are going to do views. Instead of views, we are going to use a template view, which we don't have to basically write a view. So it's just going to render out a HTML page as Django view. So we're going to import that from Django .views .generic, then import template view. So we're going to add the path here. So we're going to do, sorry, I've added that. So this is going to be template view. Then we're going to treat this template view as view. So treat it as a view. Then we're going to pass in the template name. So template name should be equal to the HTML path. So there, so we're going to do profiles /sources.html. So we're going to change the name to sources. So now we're going to create a template, or the templates for the sign in and the sign up, for the sign in, sign up, and sources page. So I've done that before we started this video, but I'm going to drop the link to GitHub where you can find this project there. So you can write your own custom HTML page files, but I already have one, but for the purpose of this video, I don't want it to be long, so I'm just going to paste in my HTML file right now. So but before we do that, in the profiles, I'm going to create templates. So I'm going to create a folder templates. Then inside templates, I'm going to create another folder. Inside these templates that we created, I'm going to create a folder called profiles. So this has to match with the same name as the app that it is in. So it's inside profiles. So we do templates /profiles. Then there, I'm going to paste in my HTML file. So now that I've already pasted the HTML files here, so now let's just go and create some migration or migrate. So we have successfully created the code, but we don't yet have a database, as you can see. So, and when we're registering a user, we need a database. So we can do start migration by typing python manage.py migrate, and this is wrong. It's supposed to be migrate like this, and this is going to go ahead and create migrations and apply all migrations. So as you can see, it has run successfully, and here you can see db.sqli3, and that is our database. So now let's just go and start our server. So we can do that by typing python manage.py run server. So now that we have run the server, so it has run successfully, let's just copy this and go to Chrome. So here you can see that it gave us a template does not exist error. And if you go down, you can see that this is from our views.py. So I just remember that I did not pass in .html while rendering this out. So this was supposed to be profiles.signin.html. So I believe that that should fix the issue. Then let's just go back to Chrome and test that again. So if you refresh now, you can see it's working well. So if you wonder where I got this HTML page, I did not write it. I just got it from W3 schools. So you can just search them. And this is the where I got the sign in view. So I just made some modifications to make it fit for this project. So I'm going to create a password, or I'm going to create an account, and let's just call it Bran. Then we're going to sign in, or rather we're going to go to sign up so that we can create an account. So we're going to do username. So username should be Bran. Then here we're just going to do Bran at bran.com. Then we're going to create a password. Let's say then now I'm going to repeat the password. Then now let's just click sign up. Then you can see they redirected us to the sign in page. That means that it has created the account successfully. And now in username or email, let's just sign in. So this is basically the username. Then if you click sign up, you can see that it says you are logged in. Please like, share, and subscribe. So let's go back and let's try logging in with our email instead of the username. So if you click this, hopefully it should sign in. Then as you can see, it tells us you are logged in, blah blah blah. So I'm going to go ahead and create another account to show you guys. So here I've typed in user 2, the email, and blah blah blah. Let's go here and sign up again. Then let's sign in with that user 2 that we just created. And if we click sign up, hopefully it will tell us you are logged in. We'll go back again and try and sign up with at user with the email. Then if we click again, it should probably tell us you are logged in. So that is it for this video, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.